Today, we're going to talk about some strategies for writing effective paragraphs. So, there are 4 steps to writing an effective paragraph that we're going to talk about today. And for any class, whether you are writing a lab conclusion for science or explaining your work in uh, math or talking about why something was the way it was in history or analyzing literature in English, you can try these steps, and odds are pretty good you're going to come up with something you're happy with. So, when we're talking about an effective paragraph, we're going to use a s'more as a visual for you today because a s'more has 4 pretty distinct pieces. The first step of an effective paragraph is the topic sentence. The second is concrete detail or evidence. The third is the commentary or elaboration. And the fourth is the concluding sentence. And we'll talk about each of these 4 steps in more detail next. The first sentence of your paragraph is your topic sentence, and we call it that because it should give a clear idea what the topic of your paragraph is. We think of this like the top cracker. It's the first thing you see when you look down at your plate and you see your s'more. It should show the main idea, and a really good topic sentence is typically something that you're going to prove. So for example, let's pretend we just finished reading The Three Little Pigs, because most of us are familiar with that. And let's pretend we were asked to write about the following prompt. Write a well-developed paragraph about a significant attribute of one of the pigs from the short story, The Three Little Pigs. Make sure you cite specific examples and commentary. So if we were going to write about that prompt, our topic sentence might be something like, in the fairy tale, The Three Little Pigs, the third pig is very wise. And we've done a few important things in this topic sentence. We have referred to the text, and anytime you are responding to a text, it's important to reference that. And we do that with a tag. Wherever possible, we include the title, author, and genre. For something like The Three Little Pigs, which has been passed down through many cultures and through generations, there's not necessarily a specific author, depending upon the version you're referring to, right? So in this case, it's okay to say fairy tale, genre, and The Three Little Pigs title. But obviously, if you're writing about a book that you read, you would want to include the author. And the other thing we've done that's important here is we have clarified the stance we're going to take in the paragraph. We've chosen a pig and we've chosen an attribute. The second step in effective paragraph writing is to include evidence. Now that you have made your claim in your topic sentence, we want to back that up. Concrete details are the hard, solid facts. This is what you rest your claim upon. So like in a s'more, the chocolate is that solid piece that's in the middle and supporting it. It gives it flavor. Your concrete detail is the support for your topic sentence. So that can be facts, it can be quotes, it can be examples, anything from your text, anything from an expert, whatever is going to support your claim. And the best concrete details are things that can't be argued with. It supports your point, it's clear evidence, it is what it is. So in that sample paragraph, your concrete detail might look something like, for example, remembering his mother's warning about a wolf, he builds his house out of sturdy brick. So we've given a specific example of something in the text that happened that is evidence of how the third pig is wise. The third step in our effective paragraph writing is commentary. It's also called elaboration. And this is very important because this is where you give your rationale and show your thought process. Commentary sentences are like the marshmallow of our s'more. A marshmallow is flexible. If you've ever seen it in a microwave, as it heats up, it expands. And similarly, Our commentary should be flexible. It should expand to meet our circumstances. It should make everything stick together and show how the evidence we have used supports our topic sentence. The commentary follows the concrete detail because we made our claim, we gave some evidence, and now we want to explain it. This is where you include your analysis of the text or situation, your interpretation, your explanation of the lab, your insight into how the text proves your claim. This is where you infuse your thought process. So it is as important as the evidence, really, because you're not just relying on quoting a text. Well, somebody said this or thought this, right? But you are making something of it now. This is your so what piece. So to help you with this, sometimes it is useful to think of these questions. Commentary sentences can be answering what does the concrete detail mean? Like how can you put it in your own words and explain it clearly? You can talk about why is it important? Why is this evidence important? Why is the claim we're making important? And it can also answer how the concrete detail supports the topic sentence. So this is where we make it all stick together, right? Make it very clear why we chose that particular piece of evidence as support. Typically, when we're writing commentary, you want it to be twice as long as your quote. So keep your evidence to the point and then explain yourself in the commentary. So if you have one sentence of evidence, then you would maybe have 2 sentences of commentary. So you might say something like, the wolf is unable to blow down the brick house, displaying the shrewd nature of the pig's decision. This further shows that the third pig is more clever than his brothers, who were both eaten by the wolf. Step 4 is the concluding sentence. Some people call this the circle sentence because it brings us back around to our claim at the beginning. And it's kind of like the bottom cracker, keeps everything neat and clean, ties it all up, wraps up our paragraph. It should rephrase the main idea. We don't want to state it directly because that is boring and redundant and doesn't show growth. But a good concluding sentence will maintain the same claim you've been making the whole paragraph, coming full circle back to it, but rephrase, showing perhaps a little bit more of what you have explained in your paragraph. So for example, we could say in conclusion, the third pig outsmarts not only his brothers, but the big bad wolf as well. It's not exactly the same. We're not saying the third pig is wise, but we're talking about him outsmarting his brothers and the wolf, which effectively means the same thing, but summing up some of the evidence that we mentioned in the text. So this concluding statement restates our main idea, but showing what we've talked about throughout the paragraph with our evidence and commentary. So once you have those 4 pieces, then what you can do is you can do something called chunking. And this is a combination of a concrete detail and commentary, or in other words, a combination of evidence and your elaboration to explain it. We typically, remember, want a ratio of 1 to 2 or even 1 to 3. So 1 sentence of concrete detail, 2 sentences of explanation. You want a good balance between the evidence and your own synthesis of the material. But if you have multiple pieces of evidence, you can chunk them. So you could have a concrete detail and commentary to explain it, and then repeat again, concrete detail and commentary to explain it without creating a whole new paragraph with a new topic sentence and a new concluding sentence. If both pieces of evidence support the same topic sentence, they can stay in the same paragraph. So this, as a reminder, is what our one chunk would look like that we just looked at. Evidence and commentary to explain it. But if we wanted to do 2 chunks, then after that first one, we could go straight into another piece of evidence. In addition to his wise building plan, the third pig leaves a pot of boiling water on, so when the wolf tries to sneak down the chimney, he's boiled up. And commentary to explain it. Because he foresees his chimney as a possible entry point, he comes up with a solution. This shows the third pig's ability to think ahead and remedy potential problems. So we have another piece of the story that we have used as evidence, talking about what the pig did in a story. That's from this particular version, a fact that is something nobody's going to argue with, that actually happens in the story, right? And then we explain it and synthesize it a little bit more, showing what he did. What does it mean that he did this? Why is it important that he did this? And how does it show that he's wise? So this would be a basic outline. Topic sentence, evidence, elaboration. Those are some possible sentence starters. And then remember, you can repeat that middle part. You can have another concrete detail and commentary to explain it, and then conclude. So this is what your one chunk paragraph looks like all together. And this is a sample layout that you could use with other texts. Use your tag, state your topic sentence, so it's very clear what claim you're trying to prove. Give evidence, cite that evidence. If it comes from a book, you want to include the page number. Then you explain what it means, why it's important, how it proves your point. You can include a second piece of evidence, cite it, explain it, and finally conclude. And that is the gist of how you write an effective paragraph.